Good afternoon. I'm here today with Carol Seagle. She's from Toxicology Solutions based in Florida. And we're going to ask her today some questions about instruments needed for cannabis testing.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being able to be here at GenTech today. So I think that the question about how to test for the standard analytes of interest in a cannabis lab is a common question that I hear a lot. So I think that if you have a laboratory where you're doing kind of the standard types of testing, which I would consider to be potency, pesticide, mycotoxins, terpenes, residual solvents, and heavy metals, there's going to be several pieces of instrumentation that you're going to want to consider purchasing so that you can adequately test for everything. I personally would recommend a Headspace GC. That's going to be best for the residual solvents. You also have the option to do terpenes on there. Terpenes can also look really good on a GC mass spec though, which is another option that you would have. You can use an LC triple quad to look for your potency and your mycotoxins and the majority of your pesticides. There are a few that would need to go onto a GC mass spec. Additionally, you would want to consider an ICP-MS for heavy metal testing. Depending on your concerns of throughput and your turnaround time, it may also be of interest to get an LC with a DAD detector because you could easily move potency onto that instrument as well. So there is some flexibility with the choice of instruments that you would have in that scenario.
Perfect. Do any of these methods pose a particular challenge?
Well, I would say there can always be challenges when setting up methods, but for these compounds in particular, the one thing that would pop into my mind would be the pesticides. Most of the pesticides are going to look really, really good on an LC triple quad. That's going to give you the best sensitivity to meet all of the state requirements that are coming out that we're seeing across the country right now. However, out of that list, which is typically maybe around 80 compounds, there's about a dozen that just don't look good on an LC triple quad. They're often the compounds that have a chlorine, although there's a couple of others as well. But out of that entire list, there's maybe 12 or 13 that you're gonna wanna put on a GC to be able to see them best. Some people use a GC triple quad, but I've also had good luck using a GC single quad mass spec before. But it is important to keep in mind that for that particular test, you are going to want to look for use two different instruments if you want to look for all of those pesticide compounds.
Perfect. And if our customers were interested in having you help them set up if they're looking to do some testing with all this, is that something you can help our customers with?
Absolutely. So my company, Toxicology Solutions, is set up to do consulting work, whether training, method development, validation assistance, or SOP writing, whatever that you may need. We have helped many cannabis customers over the years, often in partnership with GenTech, and we would be happy to work with you all in any way that you may need.
All right. Thank you, Carol. And it was a pleasure working with you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.